Hello, my reading friends. It's Marvy, and welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be doing a few things. We're going to be doing a February wrap-up where I talk about all the books that I read in February and what I thought about them. We're also going to be doing a book haul because I have been collecting a lot of books in the month of February that I want to share with you guys. And we're also going to be doing a March TBR where I talk about the books I want to read in March. And so if you're new here, hi, welcome. I just started this channel very recently. I have been on YouTube for a while. I mostly do beauty, makeup, skincare reviews. I do a lot of empties videos. I will link that channel down below in case you're interested. But I recently discovered my love of books and I have been reading nonstop for the last 3-4 months, and I'm having such a good time. So I want to share what I'm going through and my journey on YouTube. So if you are interested in that kind of content, I would really appreciate it if you would like this video and if you would subscribe to this channel. That would be amazing. So let's get started with my February wrap up. I read 3 books in February, which I know is not a lot, but I also work a full-time job, so it's very difficult for me to find time to read. But I do have my handy dandy book journal here that I purchased at Target, and this is where I keep track of what I read. I also keep track of everything on my Goodreads, so I will leave that link down below so you can go check that out. But I mostly go off of this book, this journal, because this is obviously where I put my thoughts, and I don't always leave reviews on Goodreads. So the first book that I read in February was An Education in Malice, which I have right here by S.T. Gibson. I read this book. I started the book in February 2nd, on February 2nd, and I finished the book February 10th. So this is the fastest book I've read to date. I actually wrote that in my little journal. And I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. I loved it. I was actually surprised that I liked it because I didn't realize until later that it was, a sapphic romance and it was kind of dark academia, and I just didn't think I was going to enjoy it, quite frankly, and I did. It's honestly one of my favorite books that I've read thus far on my little reading journey. It was fantastic. It was so atmospheric. It was so much fun. I loved the story. I loved the writing. The writing for me put this book over the top. It was very flowery, very poetic. S.T. Gibson is just a beautiful author. I mean, she really is an incredible writer. There's so many descriptions that she gives throughout the book that really just make you feel like you understand the world. You're there, you're in the characters' heads, and it's just so much fun. I loved the story. I thought that it wasn't an overly complicated story, but I think it was just the atmosphere around it that I really enjoyed. I thought that it just really paint a beautiful picture. I felt like I was there at that school and I was there with the characters. I was in their heads. I knew exactly what was going on. And I really liked the plot. I mean, I thought that it was just really well done. It was really well done. I had heard reviews that this book was very spicy and there was a lot of, smut scenes in it. And I mean, there are smut scenes in it, but nowhere near as much as I thought there was going to be based on the reviews I was hearing. And I thought that they were, first of all, beautiful, extremely descriptive, but like not in a matter of fact kind of way, but in an artful way. The way that the author was explaining everything, it was very flowery and poetic almost. And I really enjoyed it. I was not bothered by the spice at all. I actually thought that it enhanced the story. I thought it was really cool, very interesting. So if you like dark academia, I think you would like this book if you haven't already checked it out. I'm starting to think dark academia is my thing now because I really enjoyed the book. So yeah, I gave that 4 stars. It was fantastic. The next book I read was my book that I listened to on my way to work, and it was Bride by Ali Hazelwood. I started this book on February 1st, and I finished it on February 15th. Listening to it, I think like 1.2 times speed. I can't really listen to anything faster than that because just my attention span can't handle it. So I really thought I was going to enjoy this book. I thought it would be so perfect for the Valentine's Day season. I gave it 2 stars. I didn't really like it. I didn't really like it. This is a good example of the difference between spice scenes that are descriptive and they're poetic and they're flowery in the way they're described, creative in the way they describe the sex scenes, right? Bride was not that. I did not connect with the spice at all. I did not enjoy it at all. First of all, it was way too much. Number two, it was extremely matter of fact. Like, there was no art to it, there was no poetry to the descriptions, there was no creativity in the way the spice was being depicted, which really bothered me. I just thought that it was not well done. I don't know if that is just the way Ali Hazelwood writes spice. I know that she's a very popular contemporary romance author. I've heard a lot about her books, but after hearing Bride, I don't think that I can. First of all, I don't think contemporary romance is really my genre. I have read a few books that I just haven't had that much success with, this being one of them. And since this was written by Ali Hazelwood, I just don't think that I would enjoy her other books. The main character kind of bothered me. She was very like sarcastic and like passive aggressive. I just didn't like her. I didn't understand how her and her main love interest, even like, they had one conversation over a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and all of a sudden they're like obsessed with each other. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I didn't like the romance buildup. I didn't think it was well done. So that for me was just a pass. I did not enjoy it at all. And I was really bummed about that one, actually. The last book I read in February is this chunkster of a book. This is, I thought it was pronounced anathema, but now I think it's anathema. But look at this. I mean, it's 678 pages. This is by far the biggest book that I've read so far. I'm part of a book club that was reading this book, and that's the reason I ordered it and read it. I have never read a dark romance before, or like a dark gothic tale, so I wasn't really sure what I was getting myself into, to be honest. But so here's the thing with this book. I did not like it at first. Part one was extremely boring. There was a lot of uncomfortable things being depicted and talked about, which I guess goes with like horror gore stories. But I kind of like moved past that, and I was like, okay, I will get over this if the story will pick up and get better and I'll enjoy the story. But it didn't really pick up until part two. Part two is kind of when the plot began. And so then I started to get more interested, and I was kind of into the story at that point, and I was really enjoying it. And I thought, okay, like, I like this book, I'm enjoying what's happening. But at the same time, there were a couple things that bothered me. I didn't really understand the magic system. The main love interest, Vander, he has to like kill a high-ranking person, I think, from each of the different species, and then he turns them into a stone, and he needs all the stone to break his curse of his own magic. I was kind of confused by that. I was also confused by like the bad guy. I didn't understand who he was, where he was, what he was, because he was some kind of creature. I was just very confused. He would like get into people's heads. Like, I was just confused. I didn't understand what was going on. So the whole magic system, for me, I didn't understand it. I did really like the romance. I thought it was really well done. It had a lot of like pining. It had a lot of like tension. It was kind of enemies to lovers. But Zavander had like a quick attraction to the main character, Mavith, pretty much as soon as he met her. And he was supposed to kill her and couldn't. That wasn't really explained. And then the whole instant attraction thing, I didn't really understand until later, way later in the book. But as far as their like actual romance and them wanting each other and not being able to be with each other, that part I did really enjoy. I thought it was really well done. Every time I thought that they were gonna like kiss or something, they didn't. And I was like, so I did enjoy that part. But as far as like a dark gothic romance, I think it is pretty good. I just don't know if I'm necessarily the right person for this kind of book, because there were a lot of like descriptive things and a lot of gory things that just kind of turned me off. It had a lot of body horror. So just like prepare yourself for that. And the author does give a trigger warning, but I did like the romance part of it. I just thought that the magic system was a little confusing. The book also has like a glossary and explains the different species and a glossary of all these terms, which, first of all, I thought was really unnecessary because there's a lot of explanations whenever they bring up the terms. And also, it's kind of off-putting and scary for me, for example, for being like a recently new reader and I'm just starting to get into, my reading era. I was very scared. I was like, what did I get myself into? Overall, I gave the book 3.5 stars. I thought that it was a good book, not a great book, and not a book for me. But still, I think if you like dark romance, gothic, horror kind of stories, I think you would enjoy this book. And apparently this author, Carrie Lake, is like known for that, and that's what she does best. So in that regard, I think she knocked it out of the park. So I want to do also a TBR of March and what I want to do in March, what I want to read in March. So let's get started on that. I already started this book, Rebel Witch. This is the second in the Crimson Moth series. I am on chapter 6. I started it last night, so I will be finishing this in March. So far, I love it. If you guys watched my very first video on this channel, I did a whole review on Heartless Hunter. I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. It was fast-paced. Enemies to lovers was perfect. I was not bored for 1 second. I totally understood the magic system, the problems in the world, dynamics between the characters. I totally understood it. Twist at the end was crazy. So this book pretty much picks up where that leaves off. And yeah, they're up to their shenanigans. And we have to see what's going to happen, because if you thought they were enemies to lovers before, they are certainly enemies to lover now. It's pretty bad. So yeah, I'm enjoying it so far. I'm hoping to finish this pretty soon. As far as what else I'm gonna read in March, I really want to read The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. I think I might listen to it on Audible. I heard a preview of the narration and it sounds pretty good, so I think I might listen to that. I'm also listening currently to a Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen on Audible. I'm not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, but I will talk about that in another video because I'm not done with the book yet. I'm like halfway done with that book. Once I finish that book, I think I will purchase The Rose Bargain and listen to that on Audible. I'm really excited for that book. That book I think is going to be really good because it has Bridgerton vibes, it has Fae vibes, and Regency vibes. So I think it just hits a lot of different genres that I think would be really fun. And because it's a fantasy romance, I think all of that together is going to make for a really fun book. So I'm really excited to check that book out. I think it's going to be a perfect fantasy romance. As far as what else I want to read in March for my TBR, I really want to get started on Fourth Wing, you guys. I really want to get started on it. I haven't read it yet, and I'm having severe FOMO. I really, really want to start this book because I purchased Iron Flame and Onyx Storm, which is not something that I am doing with other series. So if there is a book in a series, if there is a series that I want to read, I have been purchasing the first book only, and then at that point deciding if I want to continue. Fourth Wing is the exception to that. I bought all 3 books all at once, which is kind of insane. Let's get started on my ton of books that I have purchased. I have gotten a little crazy lately. I need to be banned from Barnes & Noble for the rest of the month. I am putting myself on a no book buy for the rest of March because I have gone a little crazy. I have been purchasing books nonstop. I just get so excited about reading them, and I am purchasing them faster than I can read them, which is a problem. So yeah, I went to Target. I picked up Onyx Storm. I picked up that like pretty edition. This is the only book that I have that has the sprayed edges on it, but I think this is like the Target exclusive or something. So I picked this one up because it was that special edition, and I just figured, well, I'm gonna buy it anyway. I might as well just buy it now. I also purchased Iron Flame. So again, like I said, I'm very committed to reading the books. I've heard really mixed reviews about Iron Flame. I've heard that people don't like it, and then I've heard people that have done a reread and have enjoyed it more. Onyx Storm, I have been avoiding spoiler videos and reviews on it because I want to be completely surprised, because I don't know anything that has gone on in any of the books and I don't want to be spoiled. So I have been staying away from review videos. So yeah, these two books I purchased at my secondhand bookstore. I purchased this book. This is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I love the Pride and Prejudice movie. I think it is such a good movie with Keira Knightley and whatever that guy's name is that's in Succession. Incredible Mr. Darcy. It's one of my favorite movies, and I've never read the book. So I have now purchased the book so that I can read it. I don't know when I'm gonna read it. I don't know when I'm gonna get to it, but it was such a pretty edition. I just wanted it. I just wanted it. This book is very special to me. This is Memoirs of a Geisha. This book, I actually read it in middle school, which is actually insane that they let me read this in middle school, considering what the book is about. But I read this when I was like in seventh grade, and this book had a profound impact on me. I don't really know why. It's just one of those books that has stuck with me. When the movie came out, that movie is one of my favorite movies of all time. I still watch it regularly. Whenever I see it, like on any of the streaming services, I watch it. I love that movie so much, but I do vividly remember a lot of things being changed or left out because I read the book before the movie came out. So this is one of the few instances actually where I've read the book before the movie comes out. Usually it's the opposite for me. But anyways, I just have this book just has a really special place in my heart, and I wanted to own it and reread it at some point. Okay. Yesterday I went to Barnes& and Noble. I purchased Iron Flame, like I said. I also purchased Six of Crows by Lee Bardugo. Now, I know that this book has a cult following. People really love this book. This book is really special to a lot of people, and it's, it's been out for a while. I just honestly, I just have some FOMO, and I want to know what this book is about and what all the hype is about. So that's why I purchased it. I mean, plain and simple, that's why I purchased it. If you guys have any opinions on Six of Crows, please leave it down below. I would love to know what you think. The next book I purchased at Barnes & Noble yesterday is Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. If you saw my last video, I read Spark of the Everflame. I purchased Glow of the Everflame. I still have to read that book. I really would love to get to that book in March so that I could start Heat of the Everflame. This is a huge book, 833 pages. This is huge. Definitely not going to get to this in March, but I would love to get to it in April if I get to Glow of the Everflame in March. And last but not least that I purchased at Barnes & Noble yesterday is The Let Them Theory by Mel Robbins. As you guys know from my last video, self-help books were the only books that I would read before I got into my fantasy reading era. And there are some of them that have really helped me, and I have heard really good things about this one, and I really wanted to try it. I think that I could benefit a lot from it. So yeah, I purchased it. If any of you have read it, let me know down below what you thought about it, if it was helpful. So yeah, that was my February wrap up. That was my March TBR and my book haul video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I know this was a long one and there was a lot of information in it. So thank you for bearing with me, and I hope to see you guys very, very soon. Let me know down below if you have any opinions or comments of any of these books, especially the books that I haven't gotten to. I would really like to know what your thoughts are, which ones I should read first, which ones I should prioritize. So yeah, I will catch you guys on the next one. Bye.